Have you ever noticed how the installment plan that fits in your pocket always seems too perfect to be true? This phrase, so often repeated in dealerships and advertisements, sounds almost like an irresistible invitation. It's light, it's simple, it's seductive. But what almost no one tells you is that this same phrase hides one of the biggest financial traps of modern consumption. You've been taught to look at the installment, not the real cost. And when you understand that, everything starts to make much more sense. Have you ever experienced this? That moment when you see a beautiful car, your eyes light up, you imagine the feeling of driving it, and before even doing any calculations, your heart has already decided for you. The salesperson notices, smiles, and drops the emotional bomb. It's only X per month. That's it. That's where the problem begins. Because the low monthly payment is designed to appear innocent. It's like a financial magic trick, where the right hand shows something light and accessible, while the left hand hides interest, endless deadlines, fees, and a debt that can follow you for years. And the most curious thing is that this strategy works so well because it speaks directly to our emotions. The market knows this. It knows that deep down, most people don't want to talk about the 24-10 rule, compound interest, tight budgets, or the real impact of a consumption decision. What most people want is the feeling of immediate achievement and the illusion that the low monthly payment makes everything possible. Stick with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you. Perhaps you've never stopped to think about how much that affordable payment was designed to mislead you. It's no coincidence that almost no one talks about a 20% down payment, financing for a maximum of 4 years, or keeping the payment within 10% of your salary. It's no coincidence that dealerships avoid these numbers like the plague. Because when you use the 24-10 rule test, that perfect payment starts to show its true colors. And often, it reveals a car that costs almost twice what you imagined. And perhaps you've already felt that strange sensation that something doesn't add up. The numbers don't add up. Your salary disappears too quickly. Your budget starts to tighten. And deep down, you know that the decision that seemed so simple at the beginning has turned into a heavy anchor holding you back for the entire month. This is the truth that no one can explain. And that's why so many people live financially strangled without understanding why. But there's an even more important detail here. A detail that almost no one notices, and that completely changes how you view any financing. Now I want to show you exactly why this trap works so well, and what's hidden behind this seemingly harmless, low installment. And while we're debunking this illusion of the perfect installment plan, perhaps you're already remembering a situation you've experienced, or someone close to you who fell into exactly this kind of trap. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below about what has resonated with you the most so far. Because understanding how each person perceives this dynamic helps not only to create a real conversation, but also to show that no one is alone in this financial confusion that the market feeds so well. Your experience can open the eyes of someone who is exactly on the verge of making the same mistake, and that makes a huge difference. And since we're having this sincere exchange, take the opportunity to like the video if it's helping you in any way. It may seem like a small, almost invisible gesture, but it's precisely this click that shows YouTube that this type of content has value, that the message needs to reach more people, that more people deserve to understand what's behind consumer decisions and the so-called 4-20-10 rule that almost no one follows. That's how the platform understands that this topic matters and pushes the video forward to those who are still trapped in the illusion of low percentages. If you feel this is the kind of conversation that was missing from your financial life, subscribe to the channel too. This shows me that you want to continue walking this path of clarity, better decisions, and true financial freedom. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content, creating a community that no longer accepts being deceived by strategies that only benefit those who sell, never those who buy. And while you're doing that, I want to show you something even deeper about this whole low installment thing, something almost no one notices at first, but which completely changes how you view any financing from the moment you understand what's really behind this fits in your budget. And when you start to calmly examine this installment payment dynamic, you can see how everything was carefully planned to make you look the wrong way. It's not just the salesperson being friendly, nor just a longer-term loan. There's a whole emotional engineering happening behind the scenes, built to distance you from the math and bring you closer to the feeling. Dealerships and finance companies know exactly how to conduct this journey. First, they show you the car shining, impeccable, almost calling your name. Then, they come with that smooth talk of opportunity, limited time promotion, unique, chance. And when you're already caught up in the emotional impact, they play their final card. Look how small the installment is. At that moment, what should be a rational decision becomes a choice guided by impulse, expectation, and the desire for immediate change. It's impressive to see how masterfully they do this. They extend the term without you noticing, dilute fees in tiny print, mask interest rates in seemingly harmless percentages, and create an atmosphere of urgency that pushes you to say yes before thinking. And the longer the term, the greater the hidden profit. This is no coincidence. This is strategy. The entire industry relies on this game because the more you finance, the more you pay. And the more you pay, the more they earn. It's that simple. It's not about making your life easier. It's about making their profit easier. And the cruelest part is that they make you believe the choice was yours, when, in reality, it was all orchestrated so that you wouldn't perceive the hidden truth behind that seemingly insignificant installment. It has nothing to do with a lack of intelligence. It has to do with well-executed manipulation, with persuasive techniques designed to divert attention from the real cost. That's why so many people look back and wonder how they got into such a large debt for a car that seemed so affordable at first. It wasn't carelessness, it was strategy. This is the kind of revelation that changes not only how you look at financing, but also how you view other consumer decisions. Because when you realize that the problem was never you, but rather how your perception was constructed, something begins to transform internally. It's almost as if your mindset steps out of the fog, as if you finally gain access to what was happening behind the scenes all along. The impact of this is profound, because you begin to see patterns that previously seemed invisible. And from the moment you awaken to this mechanism, something inside you begins to question. How many other choices of mine were guided by this same kind of trick? Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because understanding how this manipulation works is the first step to breaking the cycle and regaining control over your financial decision. Comment below. This makes sense to me. When it comes to financing, there's a point that almost no one reveals, but that completely changes how you view any decision related to a car. The 20, 40, and 10 rule. It's almost like a hidden antidote, a simple and brutal test that dismantles in seconds the entire illusion of the low monthly payment. And the most curious thing is that when you understand this rule, it becomes impossible to look at financing the same way. The hidden truth is that numbers don't lie, but the way those numbers are presented to you, that's what lies very well. The logic of the rule is straightforward, almost uncomfortable in its honesty. 20% down payment, financing for a maximum of 4 years, and keeping the monthly payment within 10% of your monthly income. 3 numbers that seem innocent, but completely unmask that seemingly easy financing. When you put a car through this filter, there's no room for fantasy, impulsive desire, or that feeling of, I think I can manage. What remains is the truth, pure, dry, without makeup. And it's precisely this truth that the industry would avoid at all costs for you to see, because it reveals the real impact of the decisions you make. It's amazing how a car costing, say, $80,000 can seem incredibly affordable when presented in small installments over 6, 7, or even 8 years. But when you apply the same $80,000 to the rules, the scenario changes completely. What once seemed like a straightforward purchase begins to show that, with interest, fees, and a huge term, that $80,000 car can easily turn into a car costing $120,000 or $130,000. Sometimes even more. It's almost like paying for 2 cars to drive one. And when people finally realize this, they're usually already trapped in the financing. It's a gentle but profound shock. What makes the 4-20-10 rule so powerful isn't just the math, but what it triggers in your mindset. It forces you to move from the realm of emotion to the realm of reality. It forces you to see behind the scenes that the industry tries to hide. And when you look at it from that angle, you realize it's not about buying or not buying a car. It's about not sacrificing your financial peace of mind for years in exchange for a moment of euphoria at the dealership. It's about preserving your journey, your priorities, your bigger goals. And when this rule is ignored, the effect is almost always the same. Interest that doubles the total value, deadlines that seem endless, a budget that starts to get tight month after month, and a suffocating feeling that the car, which should serve you, has ended up becoming a burden. This is the revelation that many people only understand too late, when they are already living with the impact of choices that could have been different. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because there's a detail in how we finance things that determines almost everything, and most people don't even realize it's there, hidden right under their noses. Write this down. I'm on this journey too. And when we observe what happens after the decision is made on impulse, it becomes very clear why so many people live that silent, suffocating routine month after month. The harsh reality doesn't appear at the dealership. It doesn't appear in the salesperson's smile. It doesn't appear in the excitement of driving the car for the first time. It appears weeks later, when the bill arrives, and you realize that the installment that seemed so light occupies a huge space in your salary. That's when the feeling starts to change. And what was once an achievement becomes a burden that accompanies every financial decision that follows. Suddenly, the credit card starts accumulating because you need to cover what the budget can't handle. The emergency fund disappears because there's always something related to the car to pay. The end of the month becomes dangerous territory, a kind of emotional test that requires constant effort to prevent everything from collapsing. It's a much more common experience than it seems, a kind of silent journey that thousands of people live through without understanding where the problem really began. And that's where a hidden truth comes in, one that is almost never clearly stated. The problem isn't the car. The problem is the poorly calculated financing. It's the set of decisions made within an emotional context, not a rational one. The feeling that the payment can be afforded creates a kind of momentary blindness, as if everything will adjust itself later. But real life doesn't work that way. It demands payment, and it demands it quickly. Perhaps you're experiencing this right now, and haven't even realized that the root cause is financing. It's not about a lack of discipline or disorganization. It's about a financial commitment that's too large for your income, and too small for the impact it has on your routine. When a large portion of your salary goes directly to your car, everything around you starts to feel tight. Leisure, shopping, plans, unexpected expenses. Any emergency becomes an earthquake. Any slip-up becomes an avalanche. The mind enters a state of constant alert, and this affects not only your wallet, but also your emotions, your confidence, and how you view your own decisions. And when we truly understand this, something within our mindset changes. You begin to see more clearly how much a purchase made based on feelings can influence your entire financial life. It's as if the behind-the-scenes aspects are finally revealed, and you realize you're not alone, that there's a pattern happening to many people, paying too much for something that should be easily affordable. And it's at this point that the transformation begins, because you start to observe that if a single choice can create this negative impact, other choices can also create a positive impact. You just need to see the mechanism behind it. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because there's a piece of this puzzle that many people ignore, but which explains why it's so easy to fall into these traps and so difficult to get out of them afterward. Comment below. This makes sense to me. When we finally understand the mechanism behind this emotional trap, an almost liberating feeling arises that there is indeed a way out of this heavy cycle and to regain control of our own decisions. And this path doesn't involve miracles, nor does it involve giving up the dream of owning a car. It involves clarity. It involves awareness. It involves using mathematics as an ally, not as an enemy. This is where the 20-4-10 rule stops seeming like a boring restriction and starts being seen as a protective tool, because ultimately, it wasn't created to prevent anyone from buying a car. It was created to prevent the car from buying your peace. When you look at these numbers honestly, you realize that respecting this rule doesn't mean giving up everything. It means ensuring that the car you buy today won't steal your peace of mind tomorrow. It means you trade it in less, pay less interest, and experience a financial journey with much less anxiety. People who follow this principle end up experiencing something that seems simple, but that most have never experienced. The feeling that the car fits comfortably, that there's enough money left over for the rest of their lives, that unforeseen events don't become catastrophes. It's as if you finally put the reins back in your own hands. The most powerful thing is realizing that following the rules doesn't limit you. It liberates you. Because when you choose a car that truly fits your budget, you stop chasing losses and start moving at your own pace. It's an act of financial maturity, but also of self-care. Some people call it coldness, exaggeration. But those who have experienced the hardship know exactly the value of this decision. A car is meant to serve you, not to enslave you. And when that realization hits, your mindset truly changes. The transformation happens when you test your own car, without fear of the result. Because this test isn't about pointing out mistakes. It's about revealing paths. Sometimes it shows that you made a choice that is now costing you too much. Other times, it confirms that you made a decision aligned with what you could afford at the time. Whatever the revelation, it empowers you. It gives you the chance to plan, adjust, rebuild. And most importantly, it protects you from repeating the same pattern in the future. This is the part almost no one tells you. There is no financial freedom without confronting reality. And the 4-20-10 rule is precisely that confrontation. Clear, direct, without beating around the bush. It's what shows you whether the car serves you or if you are serving the car. And when this perspective kicks in, everything changes. Your priorities, your choices, your way of looking at consumption. But there's still one final detail in this story. Something that connects all of this and explains why some people manage to turn this around, while others remain stuck for years. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because understanding this last point could be the key to finally escaping the lie of installment payments and entering a whole new phase of your financial life. Write this down. I'm on this journey too. And if you've made it this far, it's because this topic has truly touched something important within you. I'm really happy about that, truly. This kind of conversation isn't just about numbers or rules. It's about clarity, about decisions, about building a meaningful financial life. So, if this content has helped you in any way, subscribe to the channel to continue walking this path with me. Here we talk about real choices, about behind-the-scenes stories that almost no one discusses, and about paths that truly transform. And take the opportunity to leave a comment saying that you stayed until the end. Write it like this. That message was for me. I'll know that you're part of this group that seeks to understand, reflect, and evolve. And that creates a tremendous connection between those who produce and those who watch. If you can, leave a like too. Not out of obligation, but because this small gesture shows that these conversations make sense to you. And that helps keep content like this alive and reaching more people who need to hear this message. And before you go, there's a video here that perfectly complements what we built together today. Click and continue watching it with me.